administrator, I guess you would call me, for the anatomy and physiology department. Your instructor is a little late today, so thank you someone for sending Chris down to my office or to get me. I can't really do anything with you today because I have no idea what she has planned. I would step in and lecture to you guys if I knew that's what she was planning on doing, but since she's not here, we can kind of go ahead with a little preliminary stuff, the things that you're going to be using for this course. We have a program that we use for anatomy and physiology called Wiley Plus, and it's an online homework management system. And this is our representative from Wiley. His name is Chris Rock, and he's going to come explain to you how to use the system and how to register on the system.
Hi. In the bookstore, when you buy your package, you're going to get something that kind of looks like this. In the back, you have a metrics measurement lab that has been written here on campus. You have the textbook here, and then you should have a code on the front of that. There's also a lab manual that's required for this course that's kind of separate and apart from this. Should we find the lab manual?
Yes, she uses the Aaron Amerman lab manual, which is a whitish color.
This lab manual is separate and apart from this. The thing that I want to visit with you just a little bit about, two things in particular. The first being this code and the second being the textbook itself. If you're shopping online for a textbook, be sure that if you go online to get one, or if you're picking one up from somebody else, there is a new edition of this book. Okay, you want the older edition. And secondly, if you're going online or you're trying to get a book from another source, make sure that wherever you get it, that this code comes with it. This code by itself, folks, because of the negotiation with the college did with the book, the code is as much as the textbook is, separate and apart. So in the package, the deal is much better. So if you're out shopping, and I encourage you to do so because books are expensive, if you're out shopping, make sure that whatever you're picking up, it has this code in there with it because it's dramatically discounted while in the package. Okay. I don't know how much.
That was.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
120. Does anybody remember what their book was? $120.
The package.
$90. I don't remember exactly.
The book is the lab manual is almost as much as the package, if memory serves correctly. So be sure that you're getting the right thing. Let's talk about codes. When you get your package, there is a code in there, and you need to go to the website. It tells you on there you need to go to wileyplus.com. That's what it looks like when you get there. Okay? Once you get there, it's going to ask you to go right down on the bottom where it says register for a new class, and you're going to want to click there. It's going to refresh, and it's going to ask you to put in your university. And so you're going to enter that. And you're going to click find. And then it's going to refresh to all the courses that are taught here that are in Wiley Plus. And so you want to pick human anatomy and physiology. And they'll drop down. And then you want to pick your section, which is going to be
307 meets today, 308 meets on Thursday.
Okay. So 307, and you're going to put it there. Pretty straightforward. Here's where you start entering stuff. Name, email, are you going to put your email address that you want to use? It does not have to be a TCC email address. It can be any email address. And any password that you want to use. Right? Whatever you so choose. It's going to refresh. Then it's going to ask you for your code. Here's where you scratch the code. And you put the digits that are on there into the blanks that are there. Now, word of caution, and it's not a big deal. Some people have scratched through the code. If you scratch through the code, let us know. We'll get you another code. We'll cover it for you, so don't worry about that. But after you enter this, it's going to then refresh, and it's going to ask you for some information. Name, address, things such as that. Certain fields are required, certain fields aren't required. Only put the ones that are required. It's not that big a deal. We don't store any of the information. It simply goes in to the database and the grade book that you have, okay? After you get all of that stuff in there, basically you're done. It's a pretty straightforward process. If you happen to run into a glitch, something doesn't happen, it doesn't refresh, something like that, on every page there is a technical support link, live technical support, 24/7 live chat, and you can go in and they'll resolve the problems for you. If you happen to scratch through the code, email your professor, we'll get you another code. I have a stockpile of those that we can get you another one, so you're not gonna have to be sitting there and worry about your code. Okay? Questions about how to register? Pretty straightforward process. There is on the Wiley Plus section, she clicked on a step-by-step guide on how to register itself. Okay?
And then if you ever see the life raft, that's going to get you to tech support.
Okay?
Live chat we've used a lot with Wiley. Live chat is an easy, quick way to get your issue controlled and move online. It takes probably about 10 minutes for them to do live chat with you, figure out what's going on.
Next thing. Within the system, once you log into it, yours won't look like that.
Sorry.
This is what yours is, yeah. Actually, this is what yours is going to look like once you actually log into it. Tabs across the top, home, read, study, practice, assignments, gradebook. Same tabs reflected going down the screen. The one that's going to matter most to you, most likely, is the one called read, study, practice. Built in there is an ebook, identical to the book you have, so when you click on the chapter that you want to look at, up at the top you have the reading content, identical to what you have there. If you wanted to print out a page or two to take notes on, to highlight, to do things like that, you can do that within it, which is kind of cool. Also, within all of this, it's kind of somewhat interactive as you go through it. There's videos that are interlaced into it, different things that you can actually look at as you work through. As you go further down, there are all kinds of ancillary materials, practice quizzes, practice worksheets, vocabulary, all kinds of things. There's iPod things that you can download to your iPod and listen to. There's all sorts of things that you can actually work with, more than you're ever going to use. But hopefully, our hope is that there'll be something in there that you can actually find helpful as you step through the process. But most people, it's the book. You're at work, you need to read something, you can actually get onto the textbook and look at what you need to look at. Depending on the professor, there are assignments, and under the assignment tab, when your professor assigns assignments, those will be reflected there, and you can go in. They're usually multiple choice, true, false. There's a few fill in the blank type things that you can do. It just depends on them. Some use it, some don't. Okay, and this is true of the conversation now with the professor when they come back to see just how much they're going to use it and to what extent they're going to use it. Okay? Questions about that? There's a grade book as well. If you do have assignments that are posted in there, it's a running tally of what you've done. And so you can see, well, I've had this assignment, but I haven't quite finished it. Then you know you can actually go back and look at it and complete it. Again, some people use it a lot, some people don't. It will not be your final grade. Your final grades are housed in Blackboard. And so it's just kind of a running tally of what might be assigned within this system. Okay? Everybody good? Any questions? This is getting easier.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very much. First year, everybody's like,
How many people do not have a code yet? All right, so there's two packages that you can get in the bookstore. There's a textbook package, which is just the book, the code, the worksheet for the lab. And then there's a second package, which is the supplement package. Depending upon what kind of book you like, if you want a book to hold and read, then you want to get the full package. If you're a computerized person, you're really into technology, the ebook is exactly the same as the textbook. So there's a package in the bookstore for $46.70, which gives you the code to get on Wiley Plus, which is the ebook, the assignments, the grade book, everything that you need, just not an actual textbook to hold. Okay? Did anyone just purchase that separate package in the bookstore? They usually keep it behind the counter, and it is, can I borrow your metrics thing? It looks just like this, but it'll have the insert in it. So So rather than having the full textbook insert package, which is what Mr. Brock showed you earlier, it'll just be this. So you can purchase either one, just depending upon what kind of learner you are.
Can you go directly to the site and purchase with card?
You're going to pay more from us than you'll pay in the store.
$46.70 in the bookstore is $110 on
The code itself is expensive as it stands alone, but because of the way the package was negotiated, all of the technology is discounted.
Just wanted to clarify.
Anybody else?
This is fully compatible.
He's using them.
Okay, so since the administrative assistant hasn't come back to give us an update on the status of your instructor, I'm gonna say that we're gonna cancel the rest of her class today. If you're enrolled in section 307, which holds lab today, come back for that lab, because if she's not here by then, I will teach the lab for her, so that you're not out any information, which negatively can affect your practicum in week 8. So I wanna make sure that you guys do get to perform the lab today. So if you don't have any other questions, we'll
Are there
just,
any requirements for lab code?
today's lab, I think, is anatomical terms and cytology and microscopy, which I don't believe that there's any requirements that you bring. Microscope slides, if you have already purchased them from the bookstore, bring them, because I can't remember if we use them today or not, but if you don't have them, we'll scrounge around and find whatever's in the lab. All right.
You can't lose. She's the coordinator, so